Sketches of life. Gaydar class. Interior classroom. The Lincoln Avenue Community Learning Center evening course, which is written up on the whiteboard, says Gaydar for women. There are about 15 desks, each facing front, each one occupied. All occupied by women between the ages of 25 and 40. The male instructor, Jason, is a regular-looking guy in his 30s. The key female characters are all city girls who have office jobs, looking like they've showed up coming straight from work. Catherine, a naive-looking woman, Michelle, looking like the girl next door, and Heather, a feminist with a slightly icy disposition. Jason introduces himself. Welcome to Gaydar for Women. Each of you is here because you've dated multiple gay men. The men were closeted and making an effort to stay closeted. Though women struggle with gaydar, it is a learned skill for most of you. It can be taught. There are exceptions, unfortunately. Some women can't spot non-closeted or thinly closeted men, even in obvious cases. If that is you, this class won't be of much help. You will end up marrying a gay man. I really wish I could help you, but I can't. However, that's a vanishingly small fraction. For the rest of you, my lessons will help you spot behavioral cues gay men miss when attempting to act like a straight. What about bisexual men? Michelle asks. That's in the advanced course. We can't throw bisexuals at you right out of the gate. We work from flaunting to furtive, obvious to subtle. The first lesson is staring and glancing. Men are visually oriented and stare at what they desire. If you're wondering if your guy is gay, the first thing you should always do is determine what he stares at. That's not true, Catherine says. There are plenty of gentlemen out there that don't stare. What are you talking about? Jason approaches her desk and stands directly over her. It's Catherine, right? Yes. Catherine, why did you sign up for this class? Well, my last two fiancés were both gay. One of them left me at the altar. The other I caught in bed with another man. Well, I caught him on the sofa. Looking back, a couple of my male friends told me that it should have been obvious, but I just couldn't tell, so I signed up for this class because I need help. Catherine, you raise a great side point. Don't ever expect anybody to tell you that you have a gay boyfriend. Society fears your reaction and will avoid telling you unless absolutely necessary. You can help yourself by encouraging your friends to be preemptive, but even then, everybody's reluctant. Okay, back to staring. Catherine, you have to accept that. Men stare. Mother Nature made men crazy for sex. Even if it tapers off with age, it's a permanent trait, and you need to accept that that's the way things are. If you want to find a man who won't view you as a sex object, naturally, a gay man is a great option. He can provide you with a passionless marriage, and you may even get a couple of kids out of it. But you will not get a man who loves and desires you the way that I assume you'd like to be desired. Now, how many of you have ever felt a man's stare? All of the women in the room nod or raise their hand in agreement. That's good news. Not good news that you felt that, but good news that you understand that feeling. It is uncomfortable. It is definitely uncomfortable to feel a man staring at you because you know what he's contemplating while he's staring at your behind or staring at your breasts. But every man who stares is a total creep. Very true, Jason agrees. But the truth is, all men look. Oglers lack the social skills needed to disguise their desires by turning a stare into a glance. But make no mistake, if they aren't staring with their eyes, they're staring in their hearts and they're staring in their pants. Thus, the glance is what you're actually looking for. The fleeting moment when a well-mannered straight locks in, absorbs, and moves on before any woman can notice. Your job is to spot those glances. So your first homework assignment will be to spy on men to see what they stare at. Now you can use yourself as a pawn in this wicked game by dressing like a skank, but you're better off finding somebody who already dresses like a skank that you don't even know and follow her around. The key is not to learn about men who stare at an obviously scantily clad woman, but the men who are completely indifferent to this creature. A straight will notice a woman's curves first, even if he moves on to something else. To a gay man, those traits of physicality are completely lost on them unless they are extraordinarily distinct or bizarre. He is indifferent to her body. By observing men, you'll start to pick up on this key difference. What if a guy pays a woman a compliment? Michelle asks. Good question. Compliments are red herrings. Men know better than to come up to a woman and say, "Hey, Michelle, you've got a fantastic ass, and it looks even better in that dress today." Social norms dictate that men compliment women on safe subjects. If a man does compliment you on your breasts or your rear end, you should immediately be suspicious, even if he's joking. Straight men don't even joke about that because they know that there's no upside to taking that risk. Now, if he makes note of your refined taste or unmatched sense of style, your well-coiffed hairs, or your eyes when complimenting you, it doesn't matter. His eyes will tell you much more than those words can even possibly say. What you will eventually understand is that well-mannered men know how impolite it is to stare, and they develop tricks to get around it. They will stare peripherally, and they will also know how to be lightning quick, getting an eyeful of a woman's body, and then going back to normal state of awareness when no one's looking. This sounds impossible, Catherine says. It is possible. Catherine, have no fear. It is possible, and you can and will learn this. The next thing you need to do is read the first assigned chapter for this week, and you'll be well on your way. I had a question about that, Heather says. I've never heard of this book, Needle in a Gay Stack. It's my self-published collection of essays, Jason replies. I've devoted my entire adult life to Gaydar research and you have the Gaydar Bible in your hands. Unfortunately, I haven't found a school yet that will let me teach it for college credit. I've been looking through some of this and it all sounds pretty sketchy, Heather says. There's got to be more to it than just watching men stare at things. Very true, Jason says. This is one of hopefully many tools that you will eventually learn in the next 8 weeks in order to spot a gay man. Heather, tell us about the men in your life. Well, I was dating a guy for about 3 years, and I eventually gave him an ultimatum. I said that he had to marry me or I would leave him. He devastated me. He took me out to a nice restaurant, and just as I thought he was going to get down on his knees and propose, he came out. I wish I could say I'm mad at him, but I'm really just proud of him for finally coming to terms with who he is. So many of them still suffer in silence. What about a man who has a lot of style? Michelle asks. Great question. We will start the second exercise by explaining a rule. Some straight men have impeccable style, but no gay man lacks style. Thus, you cannot identify a gay man because of his style. You can only spot a straight because he lacks style. So the key exercise here is when you're interacting with a man, observe his style. If he has none, ask him a few style questions to see if he's truly clueless. If he is, you've got a surefire straight. But if he knows his style, that doesn't make him gay. A small percentage of straight men have a great sense of style. Thus, the female myth of the male sense of style persists. You want to think that men understand style the way you do. A few do, but most don't. If a part of your bra or underwear is showing, or you're wearing heels that make it impossible for you to walk, straights just think it's attractive. Women will want to vomit at another woman for this kind of tackiness. Even straight men who have great style won't notice or even care. Why is that? Catherine asks. Because straights are programmed to notice anything that draws attention to your curves. Even if they agree that visible underwear on a woman is tacky, which they don't, by the way, once they're looking, they will forget everything else. Once something's drawn a man's attention to a woman's curves, it's game over. They lose focus on everything else, even if only momentarily. Now let's set aside all the talk of physicality for a while. The other component to the beginning exercises is simply to ask your male counterpart about his social activities. What are we looking for by doing that? Michelle asks. You're looking for vague answers and lying, and you're also learning how to use your own judgment to see what you can learn about a man's character and his activities merely by talking to him. What if we ask him if he has a girlfriend? Heather asks. You can, but will you be satisfied if he says yes? You've all dated or married gay men. You can't take him for a straight just because he's got a girlfriend, or says he's got a girlfriend. Hell, if you've got the guts, you can ask him if he's gay and see how he answers. You can pull the trigger on the G question anytime you want. Unfortunately, that's very, very hard to do. We teach these passive-aggressive exercises because it is so hard to stare directly into that flaming sun. What if it's a man we've already known socially for a long time? Michelle asks. Good question. Think of your man as an onion. Sometimes you have to peel away a lot of straight layers to get at his rainbow core. So Michelle, what's your story? How did you find out that this man that you were dating was gay? Well, actually, the guy involved with Catherine's fiancé, the other guy on the sofa, that was him. That's how we actually became friends. Well, at least you have that. Another question for the group as a whole. Are you still friends with the outed men? Most of them raise their hands or nod in affirmation. Not surprising, Jason says. My friendly advice, cut off that relationship. Do it delicately, do it diplomatically, but cut off that relationship. If you believe in the law of attraction, you should stop all behaviors that attract gay men into your life. You'll get farther towards your goal by seeking out straight men, even though they aren't necessarily the ones you want to date in the beginning. What? Are you kidding? That's such a mean thing to do, Heather says. Nobody said bagging a straight would be easy, Jason says. Why do you teach this class? Heather asks. You don't look gay. Because I'm tired of losing out to the gays. As a straight man who's a borderline nerd and a loser, women gravitate away from me and right into the arms of closeted gay men. Now, it may be too late for me, but I'm trying to make the world a welcoming place for all gays in the future. If we can make this world the kind of place where gays can live openly and in comfort, some of the rest of us might move up half a sexual notch with the women we know. And scene. Recorded June 5th, 2013.